So today we are going to make this little guy right here. This is a Mepps-like spinner with a French blade. This is a fairly small lure. We're going to catch a lot of small fish with this, but it's a lot of fun. Let's get to work. So to make this lure, we're going to use this little tiny body here. This is, most catalogs call this the body style 81. 81, number 81. It's 3/8 inches long and weighs 1/15 of an ounce. And I like to get them in brass. You can also get them in chrome, maybe nickel. Then I'm going to put this little teeny tiny body. Can you even see it? And that's a number 79. It's 1/63 of an ounce. And it's 3/16 inches long, and it's going to go on top of this body. Then I like to use a bead, and I use a red one. And this little guy is 2 millimeters. And then you want a dressed hook, and I like the hook to be black with some other type of color that's a little brighter. This is red. I liked these hooks. I used to get them at Jan's Netcraft, and they don't have them anymore for some reason. So I'm going to have to start tying these probably myself. I can find other dressed hooks, but I can't find the colors I want. So the one thing I didn't like about these is this, where it's tied, is not sealed in any way. And this will come undone real quickly if you don't seal it. So just take some clear nail polish, epoxy. You could drop some super glue or something on there, and it sealed it, and it worked great. It's a little long for this particular lure. This is a small lure. So I'm going to cut probably close to a ½ inch of this off before I actually use it. I'll use some number 10 wire, number 2 French blade. This guy, I got off an old lure of mine, and I don't know what happened to it, but it was really, really dark, and it was pitted. It had these big black marks all over it. It was nasty. So I shined it up using some just some polishing compound, or rubbing compound for your car. And my Dremel has an attachment with a little felt wheel, and I just polished this up, and it shines beautifully now. So that's a little cleaning tip for you for your brass parts. I'm going to use this little guy here. I actually have a video that shows this a little bit better. I'm going to make a nicer one eventually, but give you an idea of what it does. I can put this on here, and when I plug this in, this is going to turn very slowly, 36 times a minute. I have this little block here so I can hold my paintbrush right up against there, and this has little divots in it, and I'm going to paint those red. Let's do that now. Now if you get a little paint outside, you can just stick your hand on there lightly, your finger, and it will wipe it right off but not get into the holes. Now I'll let this dry, and I'll do probably 2 more coats, and then we'll be ready for the next step. If you don't want to get too elaborate, make one of these things and buy the motor and all that, you can still paint those little divots in there, or whatever they are. You put a little paint down on a piece of paper or something, and you just roll this across it. and that'll pick up the paint. It'll be on the outside too, so you just have to wipe that off, and then you've got your red paint inside there, and that works too. Okay, so now it's time to seal this puppy. This red paint will chip right off in no time if you don't seal it somehow. Got to put some type of clear coat on there. Clear nail polish works great. Epoxy works great. If you're going to spray it or paint it with some type of clear coat, you're probably going to want to put several coats on. So I use this stuff here. This is a special seal coat made for lures. It's made by Component Systems Incorporated. You probably find this pretty much anywhere where you can get lure parts. It works pretty good. It's a lot like an epoxy, but it's not. It's just one part. You don't have to mix it or anything. Something weird about this thing. There. If it gets hung up somehow, it spins in the opposite direction. So I had this block set up so I could paint it with this going around like this. All of a sudden it's going like this. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I thought maybe every time I turned it on it went the opposite way, but that wasn't it. But apparently if it gets caught somehow, it just automatically tries to go in the other direction. So that's kind of weird. I'll just put a coat of this on there. That's pretty darn heavy. Make sure you get the back and the front. Now I'm going to let this run for about 15 minutes or so that'll get tacky. Otherwise, it's pretty thick stuff and it will start to run and drip. So that's that for that. I don't remember if I told you what size blade this is. This is a French blade and it's a number 2. So we're making a pretty small lure. The hook is a number, this is a number 6. The number 8 would probably work well too, because again we're going for a pretty small fish here. You're going to want some fairly light tackle to throw this with. I'm going to make this a little smaller by cutting about a ½ inch or so off in there. Here, so it's a little shorter now. I think that'll be better. I think I mentioned that they don't seal this thread. So I'm going to go ahead and seal that with the same stuff that I sealed the lure body with. And we should be all set to put it together. Alright, I think my little body is dry now. My hook's dry. I think it's time to put this puppy together. I'll put it together quickly and show you what it looks like. I have a video, I'll put links below. I have a video on this little tool and how to use it. I have a video explaining this crazy contraption a little bit. And I have a video on how to make inline spinners, so pretty easy to do. And I also have a video on how to make this little bend here in this wire. You can buy these with that in there already too. They're a little more expensive. But this is pretty simple. Stick your hook on there. Thread your body through. Put that in through there. Now I'm going to take this little piece and bend it just like that. Cut that tag end off. And that gives me this little bend here that holds that body in place. So when a fish has a hold of this and is thrashing around, he can't pull that body forward. That will open up this wire and the hook will come undone. then you lose your hook, you lose the fish, and the fish swims away with a big hook stuck in its mouth, which is, none of that stuff's good. I'll take my little number 79 body, slide that down there, my little 2mm bead, put my clevis in the spinner blade, and put the blade on there. And that's basically your lure right there. And like I said, I'll put the link below on how to use this tool. You can also make these with a pair of pliers. Cut that tag off. And bam, there's your lure. It's pretty easy to make. This is a small lure. You're going to want to use some ultralight tackle probably. You're going to catch some smaller fish with it. But it's very much like a Mepps lure. I've taken the Mepps lure and this one and put them side by side, done side by side comparisons with them, and I catch pretty much the same amount of fish with this as I do with the Mepps. Nothing against Mepps. They make great lures, and you know, they're trying to make a living. So if you just need one or two of these once in a while, it will cost you about $5.50 for a Mepps lure this size. This thing I can make for about 75, maybe closer to 80 cents a piece. And you make them yourself. It's fun to catch fish on a lure that you've made yourself. It's easy to do. It's a lot of fun. So thanks for watching, and if you like it, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out a lot. So thanks.